So hello everybody, my name is Jeff Siegel and I just want to welcome you to the brain and body break for today. So we're going to be doing about 20 some minutes of just stretching and mindful movement, with the goal of just infusing a little bit more movement into your day, because we all know that we probably spend way too much time sitting or in front of a computer. And if you are in any sort of pain or discomfort, hopefully we can help alleviate some of that by maybe loosening things that are a little bit too tight, or just bringing a little bit more movement and awareness to parts of your body that are bothering you. And so that being said, I'm going to offer and guide us through a couple different movements, but I want you to make sure that you are doing whatever is going to be best for your body. So if something doesn't feel good, if it starts to hurt or become painful, please move into a position that feels better for you. And just listen to yourself, trust that wisdom about what's going to be right for your body. Ultimately, stretching is a very personal thing, because depending on your body, you're going to have some things that maybe are a little too tight, some things that are maybe locked in a little bit too loose or long position. So not every stretch is right for every body. So hopefully there'll be a couple things here that feel good for you and that you can take and incorporate into your day. And so we're going to be addressing a lot of stuff that I see that tends to be issues for people, whether it's low back pain, whether it's shoulders stuck in this rounded position from too much time, in this sort of forward rolled, hunched over computer position. And so we're going to try to address a couple of those things as we go through today's stretching session. Okay. So all you need is a willingness, and I really appreciate you being here, joining in together. Okay. So I'm going to start standing up. If you have access to some space where you can just stand and just extend your arms without knocking anybody or anything over, that's basically all you're going to need for today. I might do 1 or 2 stretches involving a chair if you have that nearby as well. So to begin, all right, let me just readjust so we can see. Great. So just starting in a standing position, right? I'm barefoot, which is really nice if that is an option for you, but it does totally fine if you're wearing shoes or socks. All right, just kind of wiggling your toes, spreading your feet out, all right, getting nice and grounded on the floor. And then I'm gonna have you reach your arms overhead, all right? And I would want you just to open and close your hands like this, all right? So if you've been doing a lot of typing, a lot of computer work, right, you're using your fingers. All right, we're just gonna kind of wake up the body from the hands all the way down to the feet real quick. So we're just here. All right, I want you to flip those fingers open and then squeeze as if you're crushing something in your hands. All right, if you've ever done any rock climbing, this is a really good warm up for your hands, your fingers, your forearms. All right, and then you're gonna make a fist, and then I want you to go into some little circles. So just circling out the wrists. So as we're moving through all of these motions, right, this is an opportunity for you to just gather some data about what's going on in your body. So just noticing if one side feels a little tighter or a little different. You can play around with different ways of circling, right? I can kind of sense there's like a little bit of almost like a clicking noise in my left wrist. All right, it doesn't hurt, doesn't bother me, totally fine. So just like, these are the sort of things you want to pay attention to. All right, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. And now we're gonna work a little bit into the elbows. So I'm circling the elbows, all right? As you're doing all this, right, there's no one right way to do this, all right? So don't worry about it. You've got nothing to prove. Nobody's staring at you. You're just moving your body right now in a way that is going to be nourishing and good for you. Try going the other way with some of those circles. And the other important thing is to always, always come back to your breath. Notice how you're breathing. All right, sometimes there's a tendency to hold our breath when something is unfamiliar or uncomfortable. So trying to just maintain nice, long, smooth breaths. And some of the motions will help me even to pair the breath with the motion. And we'll talk about that. So now we're gonna kind of move into the shoulders. So I'm gonna just do some big shoulder rolls. All right, however your arms wanna be, if you wanna drop them by your side or if you wanna keep them up and out, just pulling your shoulders up towards your ears. And again, tuning into your breathing. Trying to make a nice big motion. So with all of this, we're kind of exploring what is your active range of motion here, right? Without any judgment or critique, again, just to notice what's moving and what's maybe not moving as well as we want. Going in the other direction. Breathing in and out. All right, at any time, feel free to smile. it helps, right? This is meant to be good, right? This is your brain and body break from all the other activities where we kind of just sit and we maybe ignore some of the signals from our body. And then we're gonna now work into our spine. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of taking your hands on your hips if that feels okay for you, and just kind of rounding forward and then arching back a little bit. All right, starting kind of small and gentle. We always want to be careful when working with the spine. All right, just trying to get a little bit of this sort of forward and backward motion. Breathing in as I lift the chest, and then exhaling as I drop forward. Good, and then we'll do a little side to side. All right, pushing the hips to one side and just allowing yourself to kind of slowly descend into that side bend. I like to exhale as I'm dropping to one side, and then inhale back up to the top, exhaling to the other side. And then we'll go into some circles with the hips. So just getting a little bit of rotation, motion. And again, however you want to do this, checking in, noticing if there's a certain part of the motion that feels a little bit uncomfortable for you. All right, giving you some signs about what might be going on in your body. So we're going to go both directions here. As I'm doing this, I can notice almost a little bit of catching that happens here in this end range of motion, which is common. I know I've got issues in the sort of right hip extension. And so, this is always a good move for me to kind of get a sense of how things are feeling today. And the joyful part is if you incorporate this into your day, right? If you just do a couple of these movements every single day, you can really begin to see the patterns in your body and notice what's helpful and what's less helpful when it comes to keeping your body kind of functioning optimally. Great, and now we're gonna go into the knees. So I'm gonna have us just kind of work on lifting that knee up as if you're just gonna step over something in front of you. So just some marching in place like this. Pull that knee up, pull that knee up. This is good too, just kind of getting that single leg balance. If you want to try pausing for a second, and you hold it, really good. If you really want to challenge yourself, close your eyes and try to do it. Much, much more difficult to maintain balance with eyes closed, right? Going to both sides. It's kind of, all right, I want to encourage you to also play around. We often take ourselves too seriously. We take exercise really seriously. And it's possible to, take the movement you're doing seriously without taking yourself too seriously. Again, have some fun. You can play. If you're falling over, no big deal, as long as you don't hurt yourself or somebody else. All right, and now I'm going to have you just kind of kick your heels up towards your butt. So we're just kind of working the knees and hamstrings this way. All right. If you're used to playing sports or doing some sort of warm-up, right, you'll do these sort of butt kickers, as they call them on the field. Right. And then we're going to work into the ankles. So I'm just going to have you kind of roll out a small circle. The key here is, can you draw a really nice, pretty circle with your toes? Which can be quite hard. You might get all these jagged polygon type shapes. Go in both directions. So ankle mobility and foot mobility in general, I think, is a really neglected and important thing, right? Because we spend so much of our time walking, and if our ankles and feet aren't moving well, then that just creates this whole cascade of problems up the body. So going to both sides here. We could do a whole hour of just the foot and the ankle. Maybe that would be a good future session. So again, kind of noticing how it feels left side versus right side. And then we're gonna do a similar thing, just kind of into the floor. All right, so you can kind of roll into the floor, or you can kind of stretch. You see here, I'm just gonna stretch the top by pushing my toes down into the floor and then putting a little bit of force forward so I can get that nice stretch on the top of the ankle and then maybe rolling it out to the side. So playing around with that for a moment, just stretching out the ankles. Again, you might get some cracks and some things as some of the joints start moving around. You actually have a ton of joints in your foot. There's lots of small little bones there. And we kind of shove them into shoes and they don't move around much all day. So we really want to help kind of wake them up. Good. And coming back to center, and lastly, wiggling your toes, just like we did with our hands and our fingers, just wiggling your toes. See if you can get each toe to kind of come off the ground and then back down. Or if you're in shoes and socks, just lifting them up, feeling them squeeze against your shoe and sock. Good. And so right now, even if you just did something like that in the middle of your day, you know, for 5 minutes, you can notice it's gonna probably feel good to just move through the body, bring your attention back into your body, and just move your joints around, wake them up. That sort of movement is really key to help maintaining good, healthy, happy joints. So I'm gonna go into a few more movements, all right, and stretches. And we're gonna work now, all right, with the arms reaching overhead. So I'm gonna have you take your hands by your side. All right, I'm gonna have you breathe in. I want you to reach your arms up as if you're gonna touch the ceiling. And the goal here is really to try to get your bicep to almost touch your ear without shrugging your shoulder all the way up. So you wanna relax your shoulder down, but can you pull your bicep in towards your arm? All right, not super easy, but that's the goal. And then I want you to rise up onto your toes. So lift your heels off the ground. I'm gonna disappear in the top part of this frame, right? And then I'm gonna have you exhale, drop the heels, drop the arms. So we're gonna inhale, reach the arms up, rise on up to the toes. And then exhale, drop back down. So try this motion a few times on your own now, breathing in and up, and out and down. Just going at your own pace, whatever feels right for you. It's helpful to kind of pause at the top for a moment, and then letting it go. And you want to control this whole motion. So notice if at any point your body kind of goes a little flaccid, you kind of just like drop. All right, we want to avoid that. We want to really develop that muscular and motor control to move through this whole range. Let's go a couple more times here. And it's helpful to tell yourself you're doing a good job. You're having a good time. All right. Sometimes we just need to remind our minds to think good thoughts. All right, to not second guess ourselves, to not judge ourselves, to not critique, or to not have our minds wander off to something else. Right. This is quality time with your body. One more reach, and relax. Great. So next, I'm going to come into a move off called kind of the founder foundation. Really good move for sort of strengthening and stretching some of the stuff in the backside of the body. So I'm going to turn so you can see. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of unlock the knees, all right? So you can really feel your weight in the floor on your feet. And then I'm going to begin to kind of sink my hips backwards and pull my knees backwards. And you can see I'm beginning to bend over a little bit, but I'm not rounding out. So I want to try to keep a nice long spine, all right? My weight is pulled back into my heels, all right? So I can really feel my heels on the ground. And then I'm going to reach my arms up behind me like this, twisting my thumbs out to the side. Okay. And then from here, right, just continuing to kind of pull the arms up and back. Nice long spine and torso, sinking down. All right, if you feel a ton of tension in your lower back and you're like super arched, you want to try to drop the rib cage down a little bit. All right, if your knees are totally locked out, again, kind of bend down, sinking a little lower. And just we're going to be holding this position, all right? Think about lengthening through the top of your head. And ideally, what we want to do is begin to load really the backside of the body. So coming down through the back, into the buttocks, into the hamstrings, right? This is engaging the whole backside of our body here. And then I'm going to have you breathe in, reach those arms overhead, just like we did a moment ago. And then exhale, let the arms come back to this position. So staying here, lower body stays in the same position, arms reach up. And then exhale, reach and find that nice open stretch at the back. So keep going through here, right? If your arms don't get very far overhead, totally fine, no big deal, right? I find that tends to be true with a lot of people, depending on what kind of activities you're used to doing or not. So just want to reach as long as you can, right? And then coming back to this position. We're going to go 1 or 2 more times. All right, if you feel a ton of tension, if things are getting kind of tired in your lower back, all right, then I just want you to come out of this. And then just standing back up. Good. So ideally, yes, you should feel a little bit of fatigue running down the backside of your body. That's good. That's what we want. We want to wake that up. Because again, if you're sitting all day on your butt, guess what gets kind of lazy? All right, which is going to be your butt, your lower back. So we really want to engage them. We do want to strengthen them a bit. And this can be one just super helpful move to begin to do that. So now I'm going to come into a variation, which is going to involve stretching our hamstrings, okay? So we're going to drop back down into that same position. All right, so starting nice and tall, unlock your knees, begin to sink your hips back, kind of tilting your torso forward a little bit. All right, arms reach back. Then I'm going to have you breathe in, arms reach overhead. And then trying to keep your head and your arms nice and long, I want you to begin to tilt forward as if you're going to reach all the way down, trying to pull your butt back as the arms come down and just ultimately just touch the floor in front of you. Okay. Continue to try to keep the weight back in your heels, pulling your hips behind you, gently touching the floor, and breathe. Relax your head, relax your neck. All right. If you feel stretchier, that's what we're going for. You might even notice almost like a little bit of shaking action. This can be a really, really deep hamstring stretch. All right. So you can always come out of this position if it's too much for you, but try to stay here, sinking your hips back, reaching your arms forward. Breathe in, breathe out. And then taking your hands right to your shins, pushing into your hands so your arms are nice and long. All right, and then you're going to push into your feet, sliding back on up. All right, shaking it out. We're going to do that 2 more times. All right, working on that deep hamstring stretch down the back side of the body. So resetting. All right, again, soften the knees, push the hips back, tilting forward, arms kind of pinch the shoulder blades back behind us. Then we breathe in and up. And then exhaling, keep sinking your butt backwards as your upper body begins to reach towards the floor. Whenever you get to that bottom position, and if you can't hit the ground, that's totally fine too. This is where it might be helpful to rest your hands on some sort of low step or block. Relax your head, relax your neck. All right, keep that weight back in those heels. Breathing, and then hands come to shins, pushing into your arms, all right, body nice and long, and then standing up. Checking in with your body. Again, these are some deep stretches. We want to always sort of see how things are feeling. After you move out of a position, there tends to be what I call like an echo of that movement lingering in the body. All right, and that's just like increased sensation and awareness that you get in different areas. All right? And it might be unfamiliar, but it's not unsafe. So we just want to be able to perceive more of what's going on in our bodies in this way. Last time here, ready? Sinking down and back, all right? Reaching the arms up, and then coming down. Continue to try to push your feet into the floor. So I'm lifting my hips up, legs getting nice and long, arms getting nice and long. Taking a couple more deep breaths. And then moving my hands to my shins, kind of coming into that flat back position. And then pushing into my feet and standing up. And we're just going to let that go. So hopefully that kind of woke up all sorts of stuff coming down into our butt and hamstrings and the back side of our body. I just want to do another stretch, all right, for the front side of the hip, all right, and the hip flexor region, which tends to be stuck in a really shortened position, right? Because we spend so much of our day sitting, right, with our legs like this, and then guess what? These things get kind of locked in a shortened position, and that creates all other things to then have to conform. So I'm going to show you this with a chair. But you don't have to do this on a chair if you don't have one, but this is what it's going to look like. Okay? So I pull my chair back. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to just stand in front of my chair. And I'm gonna take one leg and I'm gonna rest it back on the chair like this. You can tuck your toes under, or you can just lay your foot down, all right? Then I'm gonna take my hands on my hips, all right? And my goal here is actually to kind of push my hips forward ever so slightly. And I do that just by kind of squeezing my butt and pushing my foot down into the chair. So this is a very subtle move. You might not even see me move very much, but what I'm trying to do is I'm pushing my foot down, I'm squeezing my butt, I'm letting my hips sort of shift forward a tiny bit, and what we're trading is length. Length here. Ideally, we want to feel a little bit of stretch coming into the front side of this hip flexor, quad, all right, area.
So for those of us who have ankle issues, is there, I can't stretch my ankle out like that. Is there an alternative?
Does it feel okay this way?
Yes, yeah, I need to keep it that angle.
And if you notice like, oh, this doesn't really feel like much is going on, then just slide the chair backwards a little bit or hop your foot in front a little bit. All right, that's gonna kind of pull your leg behind you. What we're doing is we're pulling this leg into even more of an extension. All right, again, we're trying to just create that length here. And again, kind of squeeze your butt, right? And push your foot into the chair. Feel that tension accumulate here. And I might hold that for about 5 seconds. And then you can kind of relax and do whatever you need to do to wiggle out of it. And then I'm gonna come back into it again. So trying to keep my knee pointing towards the ground. Again, kind of squeeze your butt, nice and tall, pushing your foot down, all right? Lengthening through here, feeling those muscles open and engage. And then exhale, release, and relax. All right. We'll go one more time and then we'll hit the other side and then wrap things up for today. So nice and tall, and again, just sort of coming in here, breathing, right? Engage, squeeze, and releasing. And then moving into the other side of that movement, if that's available to you. You can come here. All right. Getting nice and set. Again, nice and tall. I want to push my toes into the chair. I want to squeeze my butt. And I want to allow that stretching to happen, all right, as I open up the front side of the body. Okay. If you start leaning back and you start feeling a ton of like pinching pressure in your lower back, then I just want you to actually tip your torso forward a little bit. We don't want to compress this area, all right, as we're trying to lengthen here. So that's why kind of keeping your butt nice and engaged, we get a little bit of what we call a kind of posterior pelvic tilt, all right, without compromising the spine as we're doing that. So I kind of squeeze, I hold that for about 5 seconds, and then I'm gonna come out of it, just letting that tension go, and then I'll move back into that stretched position, right? Finding that pull. Nice big breaths always helps as you do that. And then maybe one more time. And release. And as you come out of that, you can just walk around a little bit, all right? Get a sense of what's going on. You might feel like you have whole new hips as we've stretched the hamstrings, we've stretched the hip flexors, all right? This whole area, again, that, you know, that gets all sorts of out of shape from a lot of sitting, needs sometimes a little bit of that waking up. So I'd love to just end things with a quick moment of breathing, all right? Just a really good way to help bring a little bit more focus to our mind, a little bit more centering back into our body. So I call this the 5 by 5 by 5 breath. And it's very, very simple. All we're gonna try is 5 seconds of breathing in, 5 seconds of breathing out, 5 times. And so you can do this seated, you can do this standing up if you are standing, or if you'd like, sometimes I just take 1 or 2 hands on my belly so I can really feel that expansion and contraction. And if you're interested, giving this a try. So just together, breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathing out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One last time, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Checking in just with your mind, with your body, noticing how everything is feeling. Hopefully, again, we're able to help bring a little bit more motion to your joints, a little bit more focus, allowing your mind to kind of be where your body is, because often our minds are a million miles away off doing other important things. So it's just that much more essential that we take a little bit of time in our days to help restore that mind-body connection, and do it in a way that can help eliminate pain, or hopefully just give you a little bit more sense of calm and relaxation. So this was your brain and body break. Thank you so much.